I've tested over a dozen high chairs. I'm very excited to share my top picks of 2025, and be sure to keep watching because I will be sharing a few very popular ones that didn't make the list and why. If you're new here, I'm Emily. I'm the stroller mom. I review strollers and baby gear from a mom's perspective as a mom of 3 who actually uses the product. I hope to help you find the best baby products for your family. So if you're not already, please be sure to subscribe to my channel, like this video, and shop through the links below. This video is not sponsored by any of these brands. They're all ones I've picked out and used. So if you can shop through the links, it really helps support my channel. And I even have a discount code for some of these, so be sure to check the description below. So the 5 things I found that actually do matter when it comes to high chairs is the following. The first one is easy to clean. You use this high chair all the time with your baby, 3, sometimes more. I cannot tell you how many times I put my baby in a high chair, and it is so important to be able to clean, especially when you don't have a lot of time in between meals. Next is a footrest. This is something that I didn't quite understand before becoming a parent, but a footrest and a proper positioning for your baby is so important. The next is safety. Safety is so important when it comes to a high chair because you need your baby to be safe. Having straps and buckles that work well for you is going to be very important. And then next is ease of use. Being able to adjust the high chair as your baby grows, being able to have day-to-day things like an easy buckle to use, a tray that comes close so food doesn't fall, but also adjusts out so you can easily get your baby out. Ease of use is so important when buying a high chair. And then finally, lifestyle. And that's one of the things I'm gonna help break down for you in these different categories of high chairs is, are you someone who travels? Do you need a big footprint? Do you need something that is a booster seat? Are you a grandparent looking for a high chair? So we'll cover all that in this video. So let's start this high chair lineup off with the best luxury high chair. And you're probably surprised to see that the Stokke Tripp Trapp is not there. But don't worry, it'll be the next one. The Bugaboo Giraffe is a newer high chair to the high chair scene. But let me tell you, it has all the features and some that I like even a little more than the Stokke Tripp Trapp. So this high chair is priced at $379, so definitely on the more expensive side, but it comes with everything you need. And there also is an option to purchase like an infant seat that can go on top. So that's something you're gonna see more in these higher end high chairs. This is not counter height, so it's gonna be lower table. So I did find that my babies were a little bit lower when I was like in the kitchen standing next to them, but it sits right at the table. Like the tray and the table line up right next to each other. It's super easy to use, easy to clean. I did find that these straps did get a little bit dirty, but they come off super easily and then I could wash them. And I love how easy the buckles were. The adjustment when it turns into a big kid chair and it grows as a table is so nice, and same with the lower footrest. There are so many different settings. I also love just how aesthetically pleasing this high chair is. There are so many different options they offer. This is like the true beige mom high chair, and I just really liked it. I love that it gave my kids the proper position and that it does grow. I've used this with my 2.5-year-old, I've used this with my baby and my 4-year-old, and all of them have been very comfortable in this high chair. Next up, this couldn't be a best high chair video without the Stokke Tripp Trapp. This high chair is so popular and it's been around forever. There are people talking about using their great-grandparents' high chair in Europe. And there's a good reason for that. It is a chair that looks beautiful at your table. They have so many different wood types. That's why I actually went with this high chair. I upgraded from my Graco to this, and I have a full comparison of the 2 high chairs next to each other, but I have 2 of them because I use these with my middle kids. It grows so well with your baby. I would say majority of the downsides kind of come in the baby stage, which we'll talk about in a minute, and it is an investment, but you can find them on OfferUp and stuff, so there are other options. In fact, that's how I got one of them. But the biggest downside for me is the adjustment on these 2 high chairs. You have to get an Allen wrench and then go in and adjust it, and food gets stuck in a lot of the crevices, and then trying to pull it out, it is just very manual. But it has a really small footprint and it looks like it belongs at my table, which I love. Now for the baby set, they are actually meant to be at the table. The tray is actually an afterthought. It's an add-on. And so I will say, like, there's some material underneath that gets kind of dirty and it's not always easy to get on and off. Not intuitive, so that's just something to keep in mind. They did just update their buckles. Their buckles used to be so difficult to use, the ones I have, but you can get their newer buckles, and then it does turn into a seat and you can do the adjustment. You just have to do it with the Allen wrench. I honestly have not used the cover. I was going to use this with my 3rd, and then I started testing other high chairs. So while this didn't make my top luxury pick, it still is a really great high chair. I use 2 of them daily, and I think it's a great option for many families. Now we get to, in my opinion, the best best overall high chair. I do have a full review of the Mockingbird high chair, so if you want to check that out, but let's go through high level on why I think this is the best overall. First off, it's priced at $230, and if you use my link below, you can get the feeding set. I don't have all of it here, but the feeding set is amazing. It's $45, and it's such a great addition to this high chair. This high chair is by far, out of all the ones I've tried, the easiest to clean. They just updated their buckles, so you won't even see this in my review because they've updated it since then, but they're now magnetic, very easy to use, and the material on the straps is so easy to clean. I also love that they have strap holders on the back. It's got a very small footprint and could be a good option for grandparents possibly, but it doesn't fold. So that's kind of the one downside there that I know a few people have commented on wanting. I also love that it has a second tray so you can wash it in between meals. It's very easy to adjust, and the tray comes nice and close to baby so no food falls in their lap. I also like that you can adjust this high chair without any tools, and it can grow with your child to be a seat. A few things that I'd probably change if I could is there's no other color option, and it doesn't have an infant seat option as some of the other ones do, but honestly, that's been fine for me. I would use a baby bouncer until my baby's about 6 months old, and then use this one. It just really is overall the best high chair, and it's at a great price point at $230 plus the $45 feeding set. It's a good option for families. Next, we have a high chair that's great for travel and small spaces. This is the Inglesina fast table chair, and this is actually my second. I've had this for several years now, and this is my travel high chair. I keep it in the back of my car. It's great for restaurants, friends' houses, grandparents' houses, people who do not have a high chair, and you can technically use it from 6 months up to, they say 3. As your baby gets older, you're gonna find, I find out around 2.5. I'm not using this anymore with my babies, but I've also had more babies, so maybe you would. One thing I really like about this is all of Inglesina's products are non-toxic, so there's no flame retardants, nothing in these, and so it's a great option if you are more sensitive to that like I am. I actually bought the tray, and I think it's worth every penny. It just, especially when you're using it at restaurants, just being able to have something to cover the gross table. It's a 3-point harness instead of a 5-point, but I found that I'm able to get it pretty tight with my baby. It is a little bit more on the tricky side to wash. However, I have put it in the, like, you can take it apart, and I've washed mine in the washing machine and air dried it, and I've been fine. I think they say to spot clean it, but we've had some really big messes in this high chair. Something I love about it is it has a little pocket back here for bibs or different things you could like keep your baby's silverware for when you go out to restaurants in there. And it has a storage bag underneath it that you can use to keep it in your car. And I am able to even put the tray in there. I have found that this does not go on every table. So if you're on a glass table or a table with a really big lip in front, this one's okay, even though it has some. But if there's a very small space, you're not able to do it. And I've actually taken this so many places, including Costco, which is where we left it. So this is actually my second. Something a lot of parents have asked me when I've told them about this one is it safe? And it gets so tight. Now it's a little manual. To get it tight, you have to do a lot of spinning, but it is very safe and secure. The other thing is this does not have a footrest. So if you were to use this as an everyday high chair, you might want to look at like putting a chair underneath it. I've seen people do that. There's a few other hacks. I have found that the way we use it, which is either like up at a bar or at a restaurant, I've been fine without a footrest for this chair, but that is something to keep in mind if you're going to use this as your everyday chair. So I've gone through the more luxury options, and now I have a more budget-friendly option. Even though I think the Mockingbird is the best overall, sometimes $230 is still not feasible. So this is the Graco DuoDiner, which was my first ever high chair, and this is actually my mom's version of it. And it is priced at $139. It's a 6-in-1. It will take you through your whole high chair needs. In fact, it even works from, they say birth, but I would say probably more like 4 months old. And I did use mine with a 4-month-old because it has the seat that reclines. It has 2 trays, so it's super easy to wash, but it does stain, so something to keep in mind. It has buckles that I kind of found were not my favorite, and a really big footprint, but it does move up and down, so it can be more counter height or when you're in your kitchen, and then lower down to be next to the table. It also has wheels, which is a really nice plus when going between your kitchen and your dining room. So overall, I will say this high chair served me really well. It's the one I had for my first baby and most of my second baby's high chair needs, and I think it got the job done. Now we have the UPPAbaby Ciro. I'm gonna say this is like an honorable mention for the best budget because it is a little bit more at $199. The first feature being that the tray actually rests on top of the table. So this won't work if you have a counter height table, but it does on standard tables. And this is the main one we use at our dining table, just because baby is right there with us, but she also has her tray, so she's not getting crumbs and food all over, and it's so much easier to clean. I love that they have a bib holder on the back. It's so nice, and I wish more high chairs had that. And then they have a unique buckle system, kind of typical UPPAbaby, but it's like a no rethread where you can tighten here. They have an adjustable footrest and a bunch of different colors you can get. So I found I really liked this one. I will say, if you're on the fence between this or like looking at a Stokke Click, I tend to like this one better just because of the features I pointed out. The Stokke Click's great if you want to like travel while also having a full-size high chair, whereas I feel like this one's just better on a day-to-day basis. Next, if you're a grandparent or you're looking for a foldable high chair, this is the MyTime by Inglesina. So just like the fast table chair, it is non-toxic, which I love. It has a really nice like quality and material to it, and I love that it can fold. It is priced at $249, and I do have a 20% off code and link, so check that out below. But this high chair gives you a lot of versatility. So it goes up to counter height. So if you have a tall table, I was just talking to someone who had the Stokke Click, and they thought that that was tall enough, but their baby sits down here and they're up here. So this is a great option if you have more of a counter height. Something I love about these kind of high chairs is when I have them in my kitchen and I'm standing next to my baby, I'm not having to bend over as much. That was a big change. The Graco was the same way. When I moved from my Graco to moving to like a Stokke, it just felt a little bit different. Like I felt like lower and I didn't like it as much. Something else about this high chair is it's pretty easy to clean. It's actually even a little easier to clean than the Graco. It also has that reclining feature so you can use it with your baby. They say from birth, but I mean, there's no infant support in this. I would say realistically like 3 months plus. And then they do have straps. You do have to manually change them. And I found that I didn't love using the straps. They just show a lot of dirt, but the buckles stay together. And so they're really easy to use. I love that there's 2 trays so you can wash in between meals, and then you can easily fold this and put this in a corner. Something to note though, this still has a pretty big footprint. So some of the other ones you can't fold have a smaller footprint when being used in your kitchen, but they don't fold. This one does fold, so that's its main selling point. And then I will say I did find I wish it had wheels. So you can see why this could be a great option for grandparents with its ability to fold. Some other great options for grandparents are these booster seats, and I have one that I'll link below that has a tray. They can easily pull it out when they need it, and I actually have one at my mother-in-law's house, and I have loved having that because it doesn't take up too much space for her, but it's really nice. We don't have to bring anything when we go visit. So as promised, I mentioned a few other high chairs that I've tried and why they didn't make my top list. The first one is the IKEA Antelope. This is a $30 high chair, and it was what all my friends were getting when I had my first baby. You do have to do a lot of customization though to make it more developmentally appropriate for your baby, like adding a cushion and then adding a footrest. And I think the thing that I found with that high chair, as I've used it at my friends' houses and tried it and just talking to them, is because you're adding all these things to make it work, it kind of feels like they were an afterthought, right? The footrest is constantly falling. It's not always staying up. Now, people love this high chair, and you're still, even with the accessories, you're still looking at under $100. But for me, if you have the money to spend up to the Mockingbird, I think, or even the UPPAbaby, I think it's worth the money. The next option is the Lay-Low. While still very nice looking, it does not have, the tray is super far from your baby. As I talk to moms and have used it myself, for the price, it just didn't offer as many of the features as the other ones I've included in this video, and that's why it didn't make the list. And then the Stokke Click. While it is a more affordable Stokke option, it gives you a lot of the same features as the UPPAbaby, but it has a large footprint. So everybody tells me they're constantly tripping over the legs with that high chair, but it still is a very nice looking option. So if you wanted to go that route, I don't think you'll be disappointed. And finally, we have the UPPAbaby Evolve high chair. This high chair is large. It has a really large footprint. It is so nice that it turns into a standing tower. But as a mom with a 4-year-old now, I found that I needed the standing tower when I still needed the high chair. So that wasn't as big of a plus and wasn't worth the large footprint. I hope this video was helpful. I know I covered a lot. So if I missed anything or you have any other questions, please comment below. Be sure to like this video, shop through the links below, and thanks so much for watching.